Hello guys, welcome to Astro Cheaper Hindi. Today's story is very dangerous. Please like and subscribe.
Where sometimes the person everyone ignores becomes the reason everyone survives. Nobody important noticed Daniel Ruiz. And honestly, that was normal. On Research Station Helios 9, people only notice scientists, commanders, or high-ranking officials. Not janitors. Not maintenance workers. Definitely not the quiet human guy pushing a cleaning cart through silver hallways at 3 in the morning. Daniel spent most of his days cleaning laboratories nobody thanked him for, mopping chemical spills, repairing clogged air filters, fixing broken sanitation units because engineers considered those jobs low priority. To most station personnel, he was background noise, a moving shadow with gloves and cleaning supplies, which suited Daniel perfectly. The Helios 9 research station floated near the outer sectors studying dangerous alien microorganisms collected from unexplored planets. Everything aboard the station relied on strict quarantine systems, airlock seals, sterilization protocols, automated containment fields, advanced biohazard scanners capable of detecting microscopic contamination instantly. The station proudly claimed its systems were foolproof. Daniel never trusted that word, because in his experience, anything built by people eventually broke. One morning, while cleaning Laboratory Wing C, Daniel noticed something strange near ventilation sector 12, condensation, tiny droplets forming beneath a supposedly sealed maintenance pipe. Most people would have ignored it. Daniel stopped immediately. He crouched beside the vent carefully, then frowned. The smell was wrong. Not strong. Not obvious. But different. Years of cleaning industrial systems taught him something important. Machines always leaked before they failed. He reported it immediately through maintenance channels. Unfortunately, nobody important cared. One technician answered lazily over comms. Environmental systems show normal. Daniel glanced back toward the leaking vent. Still feels wrong. The scanners would detect contamination. Maybe. Just finish your shift, Ruiz. The line disconnected. Daniel stared at the vent for another moment, then quietly placed a temporary cleaning seal around the leak himself. Just in case. 6 hours later, the quarantine alarms activated. Red emergency lights exploded across Helios 9 while automated lockdown systems sealed entire station sectors instantly. Scientists rushed through corridors shouting over emergency broadcasts. Biohazard alert. Containment failure detected. All personnel report to safe zones. Panic spread almost immediately. Laboratory Wing C lost atmospheric isolation after an experimental alien fungal sample escaped partial containment. The organism spread through microscopic airborne spores invisible to the naked eye. And worse, the station's automated systems failed to identify how far contamination already reached. Security teams sealed major corridors. Scientists argued inside command centers. Medical officers desperately scanned personnel for exposure signs. Nobody understood how containment failed so quickly. Then 3 researchers collapsed. Respiratory shutdown. Internal bleeding. The fungal spores attacked oxygen exchange systems inside living tissue. And according to station projections, Helios 9 could become fully contaminated within hours. Commander Ilian stormed through the emergency coordination room furious. How did this spread beyond quarantine? A scientist answered nervously, "We don't know. The containment systems should have isolated it." Should have isn't helping me right now. Another technician looked pale while reviewing airflow maps. The spores bypassed primary filtration somehow. That's impossible. Unfortunately, it wasn't. Because while elite scientists argued over models and projections, Daniel Ruiz quietly stared at the station ventilation schematics from a maintenance terminal, and suddenly understood exactly what happened. The leak, ventilation sector 12, condensation beneath a supposedly sealed pipe. The quarantine breach didn't start with catastrophic system failure. It started with neglected maintenance. Tiny cracks inside older filtration joints allowed microscopic spores into secondary airflow systems hours before alarms activated. The advanced scanners missed it because technically the contamination levels remained below emergency thresholds at first. But Daniel knew old station infrastructure better than the people designing simulations, because unlike them, he physically cleaned those systems every week. Daniel grabbed his cleaning cart immediately. One frightened technician noticed. "Where are you going?" "To stop the spread. You can't enter contaminated sectors." Daniel kept moving. If the spores reach central circulation, this whole station dies. Nobody stopped him, mostly because everyone else already panicked. The quarantine corridors looked terrifying. Emergency lights flashed through clouds of sterilization mist while security drones floated overhead scanning constantly for contamination. Daniel moved alone, pushing his cleaning cart through sealed maintenance access tunnels most senior staff barely remembered existed. Not glamorous, not heroic, just practical. Because janitors learn things important people ignore, especially how buildings actually function. Inside ventilation sector 12, the contamination already spread visibly. Dark fungal growth crawled across filtration panels like living veins. Spores floated through the air beneath flickering lights. Daniel pulled on an emergency respirator calmly, then started working. No dramatic speeches, no panic, just work. He manually sealed airflow bypass valves the automated systems overlooked. Used industrial cleaning foam to block spore expansion through secondary vents. Rerouted coolant pressure to freeze contaminated pipe sections temporarily. Honestly, half the station's engineers probably didn't even know those emergency maintenance tricks existed, because Daniel learned them through years of fixing problems nobody else wanted to touch. Meanwhile, inside the command center, things got worse. Containment projections predicted total station loss within 90 minutes. Evacuation ships prepared for emergency launch. Several scientists openly argued about abandoning Helios 9 entirely before the spores reached populated sectors nearby. Then suddenly, the contamination spread slowed. A technician blinked at the monitoring screens. "Wait!" Another looked shocked. "Airborne transmission rates are dropping." Commander Ilian stepped closer immediately. How? Nobody understood. Until internal maintenance cameras located Daniel, alone inside the infected ventilation sectors, covered in sweat and cleaning chemicals while manually repairing contaminated filtration systems with tools from a janitor's cart. The command room fell silent. One scientist whispered, "The janitor?" Daniel's voice crackled over emergency comms. "I need Section 12 circulation shut manually now." The commander grabbed the channel instantly. "You're inside the breach zone?" "Yep. That area is lethal." Daniel tightened another valve while fungal growth crept closer along the walls. "Then move fast." For the next hour, the entire station watched something unbelievable happen. While elite biohazard teams failed to stabilize the contamination remotely, a human janitor physically contained it section by section. Not because he understood alien biology better, because he understood the station better. Every pipe, every vent, every maintenance shortcut ignored by the architects who designed the place. Daniel knew where systems leaked before scanners detected problems. He knew which filtration units froze under pressure. He knew which emergency seals jammed unless manually reset. The station wasn't saved by advanced theory. It was saved by someone who spent years quietly keeping it functional. Eventually, Daniel reached the central circulation chamber, where the contamination threatened to spread station-wide. The fungal mass covered entire sections now. Spores filled the air like smoke. One wrong move could rupture the whole system. Commander Ilian spoke through comms quietly. "Ruiz, if you stay in there much longer." "I know." Daniel looked toward the massive airflow turbines spinning slowly ahead. Then he saw the real problem immediately. One contaminated intake fan remained partially active. The automated shutdown failed because fungal growth blocked the sensor indicators. meaning the station still unknowingly circulated microscopic spores. Daniel sighed tiredly. Of course it's the fan. What? Nothing. He climbed directly into the maintenance housing beside the turbine manually. No safe procedure. No protective team. Just one human worker with tools. Several station personnel watched through security feeds silently while Daniel forced open the jammed mechanical lock. Then finally, the turbine stopped. Across Helios 9, the contamination alerts suddenly stabilized. Spore transmission dropped to near zero. Quarantine systems regained control. The station survived. Complete silence filled the command center. One scientist slowly sat down staring at the screens. We were preparing evacuation. Another whispered. He stopped it alone. Hours later, emergency crews finally entered the containment sector safely. They found Daniel unconscious beside the ventilation controls from exhaustion and mild toxin exposure, still holding a wrench. Honestly, that felt extremely human somehow. 3 days later, Helios 9 resumed partial operations. The fungal contamination remained contained permanently. Official reports praised quarantine protocols, emergency response coordination, and scientific teamwork. But privately, everyone aboard the station knew the truth. A janitor saved them. Commander Ilian personally visited Daniel during recovery. The human looked uncomfortable receiving attention. You know, the commander admitted quietly, half the station didn't even know your name before this. Daniel shrugged slightly. Most stations don't notice janitors unless something smells bad. The commander almost laughed. Almost. Then he asked the question everyone wondered. How did you know what to do? Daniel looked out the medical bay window toward the station slowly rotating against the stars. Because machines don't magically stay clean, he answered softly. Somebody has to understand how the ugly parts work. Outside Helios 9, repair drones moved across the station hull beneath distant stars. Inside its corridors, people walked past maintenance workers differently now, with respect, because when quarantine systems failed, when elite experts panicked, when advanced technology couldn't stop disaster, a human janitor quietly picked up his tools and saved the station anyway.
Thanks for watching this video. Subscribe to us Cheaper Hindi channel for more videos.